Welcome, Sojourners, to the Women's Leadership Mindset Series presented by Teresa K. Page, LLC. My name is Teresa Page. I am your host and looking forward to spending these next few moments with all of you. We have a lot of work to get done on today, but first, allow me to invite you to connect with me by subscribing to my website and YouTube channel. Connect and follow me on LinkedIn, and always feel free to contact me directly via email at teresakpagellc@outlook.com. So what is our goal? Well, as an author, speaker, coach, and mentor, my mission is to help professional women renew their leadership mindset with fresh fire and purpose through the mediums of leadership development and coaching services. However, the Women's Leadership Mindset Series is a new initiative intended to spotlight powerful women leaders and how they serve the world through their professions and purpose. So with the goal to help women realize their unfulfilled dreams and re-energize the leaders they always were, this platform is designed to enhance, empower, educate, equalize, and even emancipate, as our special guests share their entrepreneurial stories, provide valuable resources, and guidance in a caring, professional, and impactful manner. So, let's get down to business. Well, all right. In today's video, it is my honor and pleasure to welcome to my virtual stage Jude Dholah, Director of TIR Consult of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Jude Dholah never imagined he'd one day become a mindset and business coach, let alone lead an international coaching movement. In fact, entrepreneurship wasn't even on his radar in the beginning. But like many powerful transformations, his journey began with failure, frustration, and a few hard truths. For years, Jude thrived in a career he loved until one day the spark was gone. He found himself dragging his feet to work, uninspired and unfulfilled. That's when a fellow coach introduced him to the late Bob Proctor, America's legendary prosperity teacher. Bob's message flipped a switch inside of Jude. We all have infinite potential, if only we dare to believe it. That turning point sparked a fire that never went out. Over the past 9 years, Jude has guided countless entrepreneurs, many who were stuck, stressed, or stagnant, to break through their limits and build businesses beyond what they thought possible. As a certified mindset and business coach, Jude has helped leaders scale with clarity and confidence, growing to 6 and 7 figures, not through hustle and grind, but with precision, purpose, and belief. What makes Jude different? He doesn't just teach business strategy. He transforms how people think. His message is simple but powerful. You are God's highest form of creation. It's never too late to become who you were meant to be. And if your way is not working, why not try ours? Whether you're at the start of your entrepreneurial journey or looking to refine success on your own terms, Jude's approach shows that it's not about doing more, it's about thinking differently. Because when your mindset shifts, everything else follows. Jude believes order is heaven's first law. When you have order in the mind, you have order in your life. It's a heavenly state. So to contact Jude, you may contact him on his website at judedholah.com. You may also reach him via email at jdholah@gmail.com. You can connect with him via phone at 438-862-2328. You may connect with him via social media on LinkedIn and Instagram at Jude Dholah, as well as on Facebook at Jude.Dholah. So we'll bring all of this information along with Jude's free gift before we go. But first, I want to say welcome, Jude. How are you?
Thank you, Teresa. It's a wonderful thing to be here with you. It's a pleasure. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm feeling okay.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I am just really just so stoked about our conversation on today. First and foremost, you are my second gentleman to be featured here on the Women's Leadership Mindset series. And this is something that I really want to do is to embark and bring in more of our influential and affluential men in business into this conversation because men and women must work together in order
Of
for us
course.
to be operate at our highest level. So
Agree.
I am truly excited and honored to have you here to jump me off for 2025. So it's really
It's a
awesome.
pleasure. It's a pleasure and an honor, actually, Teresa, to be with you here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we're going to go ahead and get into our conversation on today. So let's go ahead and get started and get down to business. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
About me. Um, as you mentioned earlier, I was in a career that I really enjoyed. I really loved what I was doing. I enjoyed the people, the work, the challenges. It was really like it kept you going. It kept you really awake. Um, but for some reason that I have no idea what it is, I was really dragging my feet into work at the beginning of 2006, and I didn't understand what was going on with me because that was really totally not like my own self. I talked to an older gentleman at work whom I respected very much. And I explained, I said, there's something going on here, there's something wrong. I never knew it would be me. I thought it had to be there, them, that, whatever is outside of me. And very wise gentleman, he didn't give me any advice, he didn't say anything. He said, I think you need to talk to Bob. Well, they're both gone today. He was a very close friend of Bob Proctor, of the late Bob Proctor. And I did not know exactly who that Bob Proctor was. And we got on the phone. He introduced me, and Bob said to me something that I thought was very strange. He says, "What do you want?" And I thought, what do I want? I say, "I don't know, nothing." He says to me, "Well, do you have goals?" Like he's very big on goals. This is a word that he uses all the time. I said, "Yes, I have objectives at work. I have a department of 8 people. I'm responsible for their results. So I have to reach certain metrics. I mean, it's all numbers at work." He says, "No, I'm not talking about your objectives at work. I'm talking about your own goals." I said, "No, I don't know. I just want to make sure I do a good job." He says, he turned it around. He says, "So why do you get out of bed every morning?" I thought that was a very strange question. I said, "Well, I have to go to work every day." He says to me, "If this is the reason you have to get out of bed, better go back to bed. That's not a good reason." I thought that was a very strange thing to do. I'm thinking to myself, not saying anything. I'm thinking, who is that person? Who is that guy I'm talking to? Right? And I said, okay. I mean, a little not understanding what's going on. And he kept asking. He says, "So what is it that you really want?" I mean, he says everybody wants something better than where they are. Even if it's only their health, they want better. Better is a good word. I love that word, better, right? Um, I said, well, I kind of remember 2001, I was trying to look into investing in real estate. The only reason I was doing that, looking into that, is I thought there's money to be made in real estate. Um, I didn't know what the purpose of a goal was at the time. And he said, okay, why don't you do it? I said, do what? He says, well, invest in real estate if this is what you want. I said, I have no money to invest in real estate. That's why. And he asked me many strange questions. This one was, what do you need the money for? I'm thinking, what is this guy smoking? I didn't say that, but I'm thinking, it's so bizarre. I said, well, we're talking about investing in real estate. He says, this is what really changed the way he says, you don't need any money. You haven't made the decision yet. He says, you've been thinking of that for 5, 6 years now. You haven't done anything. He says, talking about it doesn't do anything. I mean, what do you need the money for? You're not doing it. I said, okay. He says, let me tell you what I know. He says, people do not make decisions. Most people, when they say they're going to do something, they're stating preferences. Big difference. Decisions are committed ideas. You have to be committed. Then you know you're making a decision. He says, once you make a committed decision, and many times I've seen him, to me and to a lot of people in front of me, he says, use one of these. He doesn't say take a pen. He says, use one of these and write down what you want every day. Just write down every day what you want. He says, you don't have to copy what you wrote yesterday. The next day you write the same idea, but just rewrite it every day like that. He says, after a month, you will see that what you wrote on the first day looks different from what you have now in front of you. It's the same idea, but it will be so clear, so crystal clear, that if you give it to somebody, they will have the same picture that you have in your mind. I mean, he was talking a different language that I never knew before. I say, okay. He says, why do you want real estate again? I say, well, it really gets you to secure your future, financially. He says, so what is it that you really want then? I said, well, I'm thinking of 6 properties. He says, why 6? I could have said 10. I could have said 12. I said 6. I said, because there's my wife and I have 2 teenage daughters. And eventually we'll probably have, 2 grandkids. I want to be able to leave them with something that, they don't have to struggle or anything like that. I said, okay, that sounds good. He says, so how long do you think you're going to do to achieve that? Well, I had no idea because, I have no idea. 5, 10 years? I said 5 years. I just said 5 years. I really had no idea of any idea of what to say. And he said, 5 years. Okay. He says, why not? And Teresa, I can tell you, I can almost word for word, this conversation was so impactful that I'm telling you like you're watching a movie. It's like he says, so you write it down and you're going to do it. That's okay. I'm still thinking, where's the money going to come from, right? And after I pause, he says, you don't believe me, do you? I say it's a little hard to believe that I wanted to do something for a little while and then I forgot about it because I don't have the money. And to be able, I said, no, I don't think. He says, let me repeat to you what my first mentor told me in 1961. That's a long time ago. I say, yes, it is. He says, I was in a worse position than you are today. I was a loser. I was going downhill, picking up speed. He says, you can repeat that in public because I'm telling you. I said, okay. He says, my first mentor told me, Bob, you don't believe what I'm telling you that you can do right now. Believe in my belief in you. Borrow my belief. And he says, this is what I'm telling you right now. He says, you're in a much, much better position than I was when I first met Ray Stanford was the name of his first mentor. I said, okay. He says, the one thing that you'll notice is once you start focusing on that, you write it down so you're not going to forget it because you're writing it down every day. He says, you'll start seeing in the same environment where you are, you will hear different sounds. You will hear people talking about the things that you're interested in. You will stop hearing a lot of noise. You will start paying attention and you will find it. He says, I don't invest in real estate, but I can tell you, it doesn't matter what you want. You will hear those words, those sounds, wherever you are. And he was right. He was right. That was in June of 2006. In August of 2008, that's like 2 years and a couple of months, I had all my 6 properties. I had 5 rental properties. I already had our own house where we lived. So that's a total of 6. It's not 6 more, it was 6 altogether. And I was not surprised when we achieved this, but I was amazed that this happened. And I followed his advice, I followed his teachings, and the first thing he gave me to do was a program that he wrote called Winner's Image, the one that I mentioned earlier. And what that program taught me is look in the mirror, really see who you are. Because I believe we don't know who we are, most of us. I know that firsthand because I didn't know. I was not aware that I didn't know. We don't know what we don't know. And it's simple, simply shifting the way you think. Because I believe society programs us, I use the word programming, to think in a certain way that we are programmed just to survive. We want to be safe. We don't want to take risks. We don't want to go. We say we want all kinds of things, but we don't do anything about it. And I think it's all in the way we think, and we are taught to think this way, which is not right. Which is not right. Yeah. And I kept working. I mean, I was working at the time, 2006. I kept in my job until 2016. And in 2016, and the work was even improving, all kinds of things, good things happening. We were not paying attention. We were just doing the thing a different way. And 10 years after that, 2016, I attended a seminar, Bob again, and paradigm shift, called it paradigm shift. And I decided this is what I really need to do, because not only need, but want to do as well. Because, I mean, this changes lives. It changes lives. It changes the way you feel. First of all, I think, is very important how we feel. Changes the way you feel, the way you think, and the way your results show up differently. Your results show up differently. And that's what I share with people today.
Well, that is so awesome, Jude, and thank you for, just taking the time. It's almost like we're sitting in a mentor session with you and Bob this morning. So thank you for giving us a little bit of background about your story. There's something that you mentioned, actually, there's several things that you mentioned that I may ask you to kind of expound upon. One of the things that really kind of struck me is that when Bob shared with you, when you continue um, to write down what it is that you really want, that purpose, that thing that makes you get out of bed. Once you kind of figure that out and you keep writing on the idea, and that changes. But he also mentioned that you will begin to hear the sounds of what it is that you want. On your journey, can you share with us what were some of the sounds that you started hearing as what it is that made you want to get out of bed started to materialize as you
Yes,
continue on this
yes.
process?
Sound, what we're referring to is the environment, wherever you are, right? Wherever you are. For some reason, at the time, 2006, some listeners won't know what we're talking about. We had faxes coming in. There was a fax machine at work, a big fax machine in our department. And people were doing marketing, advertising on fax. We call that jack fax. And shortly after we spoke, a couple of days maybe or something like that, um, I don't usually go to the fax machine. You know, everybody has their own role in the department. Not that I'm more important, but there was, people would come and give you your faxes. There was somebody the mail person, we call them the mail from the mail room. And we get our faxes, our anything, the mail and everything. That morning, for some reason, I went to the fax machine and I picked up a piece of paper saying, learn to invest in rent to own properties. And I looked at that and I said, oh, interesting. I didn't pay attention, interesting, but I took it with me on my desk. later I looked at that and I'm thinking, that's not far from here. It's like a 40-minute drive from, it's almost on my way home. And I called a number, and it was two brothers, the Karadza brothers. Their name is Karadza, and one of them was a real estate agent. One was them was an IT salesperson, and their dad had invested in a couple of properties when they were still young. And the one who became a real estate agent, he thought there is a need in the market probably to help investors. So they focused solely on investors. What they were doing is they were running a class to tell people what are the benefits and what are the, not just benefits, but you could make mistakes and lose your money in any kind of venture. He says, this is what we're going to teach you, the drawbacks and everything. And I went one afternoon, as I had called. I went probably the next day. And guess what? It was the first day that they were doing these classes. I was one of the first people showing up, and I didn't know. And then at the end of the day, said, "Well, this is our first time," and we had a few people. Over a few weeks, we were learning really a lot of good things very fast. And I don't know whether the word coincidence, and I started hearing on the radio talks about real estate investing. The real estate board was talking about the interest rates in the news. Now it's almost like where is this coming from? And I'm going to tell you this: it was already there probably all the time, but this is not what I was hearing. My attention was totally different plane. I mean, we focus on we don't have money. Where's the money going to come from? For most people, not everybody. For the majority, though, and we focus on what's not working and what's going on, why me, etc., etc. And we don't look at. We're not taught. We don't look at, instead of why is this not working, we don't look at how can we make it work. It's just a different side of the coin, right? And to tell you the truth, I started noticing that yes, you start to hear what you're focusing on. It's whatever you want to focus on. It's all there because everything is in front of. It's everywhere, right? One thing I understood also is we think of lack all the time, lack and limitation, but that doesn't exist. Only abundance exists, right?
Absolutely.
Only abundance exists. This is an abundant world. We just have to learn how to look.
I absolutely and totally agree with that. And I also believe, what it is that we truly want out of life, it is triggered by the speed of that decision. So I want to say thank you so much for making the decision. Now we're going to start shifting and going into your business space as that coach, now that you're coaching, but you've been sharing with us, the things that was on your heart to do was real estate. So really quickly for our listening audience, how did all of those things work out for you? You were hearing the sounds and noticing the things that was around you and that world of abundance in real estate. So how did that work out for you as we prepare to shift into your coaching work?
Well, the real estate itself.
Yes, sir.
When we were, I mean, these two guys today, these two brothers I'm talking about, they are both real estate agents, investors, and they opened their own brokerage. They work 90% of the time with investors still today, like a few years now. When they teach you what about real estate, the good and the bad, because as in any kind of investment, you have to be careful of what you're doing. You have to understand what you're doing. And they show you how to raise the funds that you need. And how do you qualify for those funds? You don't have any money like piling up in the bank, but if you have, like I really had a good job and that I loved. I was getting paid well, but I didn't have the mindset of I could have had a good savings somewhere, but I didn't. We tend to spend almost everything that we earn, right? I was from that crowd, and they taught me how to raise that money that I thought I didn't have. And it's about mentorship. You see, when we are open to accept ideas, when we have an open mind, I had to learn that, of course, to accept new ideas and decide if, okay, this is does this resonate with me or not. And I started to, and you take a little bit of a risk sometimes. No risk, no reward, right? And I started doing that, and I found that I did have the means, if you will, not the funds right away, but the means to. And I started raising and you know what? After the 5 years, after 7 or 8 years, I had no debt on anything. I didn't owe anybody anything. It just worked out. But this is a matter of two things, I believe. It's belief comes from faith, right? It's come from faith and understanding what you're doing and accepting that there is a little bit of an element of risk when you're going out of your comfort zone, if you will, because that's not something that I ever, nobody in my family had done that before. It was not in the conversations that I grew up around, nothing. So, so to me, it was a little bit of a risk, but I was very excited to go in that adventure because what was going on for me, Teresa, especially, was that mindset shift. That voice, that Bob's voice in my head saying, you can do that. You can do that. You just don't believe yet, but believe in my belief in you. And I did. And I did. What I learned a lot from the winner's image, the thing that I mentioned earlier, is how you start seeing the real you, your potential, and you start by loving yourself. A lot of people don't love themselves. I mean, it's more than just money. It's really it's everything. It just your life changes, but you have to be open to accept it. To accept it. One thing once he says, your way is not working. Why don't you try ours? And that's such a good phrase. Your way is not working. Why don't you try ours?
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about that your way, your your way, if others' ways are not working. So for the past 9 years, you indicated that you have been guiding countless entrepreneurs who were once as you were. They may have felt frustrated. They're stuck. They're stressed. They're stagnant. So tell us a little bit more about TIR Consult and what does it look like to work along with you? And what is your demographic of clients? What does that look like? So take us on that journey with us.
To date, I it's so diverse. It's so diverse. I have worked with people who are entrepreneurs themselves, like they depend on you know, their own initiative to make it happen, meaning they don't have a job. It can be a tough life. It can be easy. It depends on how you look at it. I've worked with one person that was not working at all. Uh, it's just something that happened through an introduction. A woman who had really, she was like, she didn't even like to look at herself in the mirror. She was, almost like rejected by her family. Her kids were disrespectful. She said to me that after having spoken with me a couple of times, she got a little bit more confident, if you will, to open, to trust me, to tell me. She said, I'm 40 pounds overweight because I only see her face when I was talking to her. We're on Zoom. I've never met her in person even until now. Today she's thriving. She's running the family business. Her kids are looking to her for advice. She said, you have no idea how you changed my life, the way I think. I said, I didn't do that. I just gave you the tools because I cannot do it for you. You cannot do it for me. You have to accept the idea that yes, you are worth it. Yes, you are God's highest form of creation. I always say that. We are God's highest form of creation. I said, if you accept those truths, not just those ideas, those truths, you can do pretty much almost anything you want. Today she's thriving. And I worked with people who I worked with one school teacher, for example. I'm talking about people who are not actual entrepreneurs. I'll giving you a couple of examples. This lady who I met, I think she was in her early 50s. We spoke a few times and then a couple of times, and then she said to me, well, the reason we were talking, I really am not happy with what I'm doing. I said, well, you're a school teacher. You don't like that? She said, I love the kids. I said, but my dad told me be a school teacher, like when she was in her 20s. I said, well, you've been there 30 years now. So what are you saying? She said, in my early 20s, I wanted to be an interior decorator. That's what my heart was saying. I said, well, why don't you? I did like Bob said to me. I said, why don't you? He said, I've had this career and at my age, I say, your age has nothing to do with anything. I say, I'm 10 years older than you. It's nothing to do with anything. She said, well, it's tough now. I have kids. I have one grandchild and it's all happening like that. She couldn't accept the idea just like that she could too. That is probably, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. I still, we still connect on Facebook. Today she has a business. She quit her career, and lucky for her, when she quit, she was entitled to full pension. So it's a blessing for her, and she's just every day is different. Every day it's a joy for her to get up and do that, because this is what she loves doing. What she loves, and she's done that over the years to help her friends get their houses in the way. I mean, she has the ideas. She's very good at what she does, and today she has a business. But otherwise, people who were, I don't want to say struggling, but they were not happy with where they were in their business. And I tell people this boldly, really. When I haven't spoken with them a lot, I said, you can double whatever if money is what you want, you can double that. Within 6 months, I can show you how to do that. You can double last year's, even starting now, wherever we are for the rest of the year. Only when they've done that, I tell them you can do triple, quadruple that, because it's already here. It's not out there. It's not the market. It's you. It's inside of you. Because if you take a look at any industry, I look at the real estate industry because I know a little bit about the industry. You have people who are doing 24 deals a year. This is really successful. But you have people with the same background, university degrees, same thing, same license, same training. They are doing 2 or 3. They are struggling. Same market, same training, same everything. It's all here. It's all in the mindset. The strategies, yes, but the mindset is key. Mindset is key. And that's what I help people understand when they accept the idea that, yes, I can be more than what I am right now. I'm focusing too much on what's not working. And I don't think it matters what industry that is. It's the people. It's the person. But I love the real estate industry. That's why Playground, I love to help people in that industry. But demographic, I work with men, women, it doesn't matter, really. Because in fact, in the real estate industry here in Canada, in Toronto especially, there's maybe twice as many women than men in that industry. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Jude, I know that we have to wrap up because you have other amazing things to do on today. So, one of the questions that I love to ask all of my guests as we prepare to downshift is that, as you know, I am, as far as with my organization, I am passionate about employing love as that ultimate success factor to renew women's leadership mindset with fresh fire and purpose. From your leadership perspective and with the type of leader that you are, how do you believe that love has tangibly shaped you as a leader?
For me, it was really about my self-image. When you work on your self-image, the way we do it, the way I've been learning from Bob, it starts with love. It starts with, it is true. I talk to people every day. I know that's what's happening. A lot of people, when they look in the mirror, they don't like what they see. I think people should fall in love with what they see in the mirror. And a lot of people cannot accept that. You see, I have this too much here, too much there, or whatnot. It doesn't matter. This is love that, and work on the image that you want. But it doesn't matter what you're seeing, and love is something that nobody can give you. You see, people believe. I know. I used to believe that too. Like I need love from X, Y, Z. But that's not true. If I don't have it inside, I cannot accept it from some other people. If I don't know it, I cannot recognize it. So it has to come from within. We start with understanding who we are, and we start loving that. We start loving that. Fall in love with you is what I say. People think that it sounds, strange when you say that, but no, that's the real love. That's real
So
love.
awesome. Well, that's amazing. So thank you so much. So we're gonna leave that last word with the audience to fall in love with you, fall in love with what you see in the mirror. Now, Jude, it was such an honor to spend some time with you on today and just to glean from your wisdom. Now, you have a complimentary gift that you want to offer to our listening audience. Can you tell us a little bit more about it? It's free access to the audio program,
Yes,
The Winner's Image.
yes,
So tell us a little bit about that.
yes. I am actually delighted to share that because, I spoke with Bob. That was in June of 2006, at length, maybe an hour. Um, all kinds of wisdom that I was getting from him. But what he gave me to do is a program that he had written at the time called The Winner's Image. And that winner's image showed me the real me. Like we upgrade our self-image. And that's the way the love as well is hidden. We talk about love, and that's what I want to share with people because it did so much for me that I was going to say I have no problem sharing. Actually, I want to share as many people as possible, but I am going to not sell that and give that to your listeners. And it's something that you can get through your email. I guess that's the only way. At the time, you have cassettes that we were listening to, but there's no more of that. And today it's online. The only way I believe I can send that to you is through email. And you have you download MP3 for listening, and there's a short video of Bob that too I gave you by email.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for this gift. We're getting ready to talk a little bit more how the listening audience can access that. So thank you for giving this. Now, Jude, it was such an honor to spend some time with you on today. Are there any last words that you want to leave us with as we move forward here in the second quarter and beyond in 2025?
Yes, yes. I mean, of course, especially in this environment today, we know what we're talking about here. The
Yes,
politics
yes,
and the noise and all that
yes,
and
all
what's
the
going on
noise.
in the world. Listen to that small voice that you have. If you pay attention, there is a voice inside. Pay attention to that and kind of silence the rest for a little bit, just on your own, by yourself, no phone, be quiet, and have one of these. And if you need to use it, you do. If you don't use it, it's okay too. But listen to this quiet voice that's inside. There's a lot of wisdom there already, but we're not aware. We are not aware.
Absolutely. So listen to that small voice audience and make sure that you have that trusty and ready pen to jot down what
Yes.
that voice is telling you so we're able to move forward. But Jude, thank you so much. It was such an honor to have you on today. Well, leaders and ladies and leaders, we want to say thank you for joining us. Remember that you can connect with Jude by on his website at judedholah.com. You may also connect with him via email at jdholah@gmail.com. Remember, you can also contact him via phone at 438-862-2328. And you may also connect with him on social media at Jude Dholah on LinkedIn and Instagram, and at jude.dholah on Facebook. And please, 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 please do not forget to take full advantage of Jude's complimentary gift, which is free access to the audio program, The Winner's Image by Bob Proctor. Now, to access this, you may send Jude a direct email request at jdholah@gmail.com. In the subject line, please use WLMS Podcast. And we'll be sure to put this information in the bio. Now, leaders, do you have an important story that you would like to tell that will inspire others to step into their dream career or business? If so, check the bio to learn how to become one of my special guests. And also, this year, we will celebrate Mother's Day on Sunday, May 11th, and I want to help you celebrate your favorite girl. So you are cordially invited to visit my office corner at Teresa K page at squarespace.com to check out my Journey to Wholeness book gift set collection, featuring the subtitles of my book series. Now, each gift is complete with your favorite book, stemless wine glasses, a journal, canvas art, and a soft fleece blanket. And all of these items are branded and designed with inspiring messages to remind you and your mom of what love can empower you to do. So check the bio to learn more. So we want to say thank you for joining in for another episode of the Women's Leadership Mindset series, featuring our second gentleman of this entire experience.
Thank you.
Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, here's to the journey, and let's move forward.